All right, well, good evening, all, or morning, whatever time you're watching. All Tim timers, this is Tim speaking. So I wanted to get some 90-degree angles for the coax, basically for the radios back in there. I don't know if you can get an idea. So I can push them back a little bit further. Anyhow, I only had an old Amphenol connector, and I really liked it. But I'm looking now, and they're like $25 or so. That's the cat helping make noise for me. So I was just curious. I bought a couple of these, and these are new style. They're not a solid. These are kind of like the other ones were a cast solid arc, just like a pipe. These ones here, I don't know, it looks like there's a little more involved with them. Anyhow, I got 6 of them from where else but Amazon. And that's the part number. And I want to just try them out real quick. We'll see what they do as far as if they affect the matching of an antenna, and we'll use the antenna matching the meter I have for that, and I'll show you that in a minute. Can't seem to get my words out today. Anyhow, it says there's 6. It was about, I think this was about $19. And there appears to be 6 in the bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bag sheet is stapled shut. So I'm gonna take one of these out. I'm only gonna test one of them. And we'll test it for a change in SWR, and then we'll also put 100 watts through it and see if we notice anything with that too. And we'll pick the highest frequency, maybe something around 28, just so that we're a little as far away from DC as we can be. And we'll make sure, we'll see how they fit on the coax ends and everything. So let me get that all set up. At least we'll get them out of the bag, and we'll start there. All right, so one of the first things I just like to look at and give you an idea is how well the end fits on a piece of, or a PL259 connector. And this is an old, worn out Union. I'm trying to see if I can get my fingers, but you'll see how easy that goes on and how easy it falls back off. That's not a real good connection, not to mention it's probably even corroded on the inside. Anyhow, that was just an example of what I like to check. So we'll take one of these. Let's see how this goes. All right. There we go. Well, it's taking a considerable amount of pressure just to put it on there. And that's a crimp style. Let me get my hand out of the way. That's a crimp style, so it's not like there's a bunch of solder built up or anything. Okay, there we go. So now it's on. Get this out of our way. You can see how it fits. There's the extrusions. Now this only has 2 extrusions on that one side. But I don't think it's going to come off. So now we'll just thread it on and make sure that this threads all the way up, because I've heard people complain, and I know that I bought some of these that seemed like they had the wrong size thread on them. I'm sorry for making this so dizzy. This is terrible. All right. All right, it seems to fit okay. It's tight there. So the next thing will be, let's try this end on the antenna analyzer. And that's going to be right over here. Let me get this. We're not going to use a dummy load right now. Let's see. It's in nice and good. Now let me make sure when I tighten this down that it tightens down all the way. All right, so there it is. It tightened up nice. let's get this out of the way. All right, well, now that we got the 90 on there, let's just take a quick look at if it affects the SWR at all. So that's with the 90 on it, with 29.158 megahertz, showing 1.3 SWR and a resistance of 51. So I'm going to pull this back off, and I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole film. Maybe I will make you sit through this whole thing. There's that out of the way. Let's just plug the antenna directly into the top. Let's see what we end up with. Pretty much about the same thing. So it didn't really make that much of a difference having this in there. All right, off to the power test. All right, so just randomly picked a frequency here, 28,652, and we're going into a dummy load. And over here we have, you can see it's set to the dummy load on the 200 watt scale, power, and we'll watch right around 100. This is without the adapter. To spare you the agony of watching me trying to align this by holding one hand, I already did the alignment. So there you have it, a little bit over 100 watts into a dummy load. That's without the adapter. Now I'm going to reach back in here behind the microphone here. I'll have to move this out of the way. You can see the dummy load laying there on the ground here. But the connector's back, and you can't see it. I'll show you where it is. Here's the connector. So I'll hold that off. Let me put the adapter back on. I'll try and do that. I'm not going to do it on camera because, you know. All right, there it is installed. And you probably have a better view than I do of it. But anyhow, that's installed. And I don't know if I'd keep it at the same angle on this radio because you can see there's a cap here for an adjustment. You certainly want to keep that blocked. Okay, now let's just see what happens here. The tuning or nothing should have changed. Everything should be the same. I don't think I bumped anything. So let's just see. Move in a little bit. And on dummy load, power on. Looks like about the same thing, just a little bit over, maybe 105, 108 watts. All right, lastly, let's just see if there's any reflected power. So let's see, we got our slightly over 100. Let's look at the reflected power. Minimal. We'll just double check our SWR. So I'm gonna have to put this down to do that. And the SWR should be indicative of the reflected power, but there's calibration, and we'll switch it to SWR. And again, very slight. Again, using the dummy load, so I wouldn't expect a whole lot through there. Let's look at that without the 90 degree. All right, the 93 is removed. We're still on 28,651, 652, somewhere in that area. Let's get a look at, I'm just going to go with power. Slightly over 100. We'll go with calibration. Hopefully I don't have to change that. Oh, I put on. Still looks about perfect. And let me see what the SWR is. About the same. So with or without, and then I'll show you even still with the power. If you go reflected, it'll be indicative of the pretty much the same thing. So that's it without the 90. All right, so what have we learned from that? That they seem to work for my purposes. I have no idea what would happen if you tried to run. I think they're rated at like 1.5K. I forget, and up to 1 gigahertz with less than 1 to 1.5 SWR. At least that's what the little package claims. So when I ordered them, there's no package in the with them, as you see, or no instructions in the package, as you saw. But that was from the Amazon website, and they seem to work okay. That was the first time I ever tried the new type that are this square look. We'll go back down and take a better look at one as it's laying here. So yeah, I've seen some of them that actually have a screw head on the back, I guess, to take them apart. One thing I did notice, it seems to be a little tight threading on. Not tight as in fit, but possibly the coating in there. Whenever they dip these, whatever they nickel or whatever they dipped it in. Might just be a little bit of a buildup. You could probably clean them off a little bit or spray a little bit of contact cleaner on it or something, and it'll probably thread easier. But it doesn't thread that hard. You can still do it easily by hand. It was just something I thought I'd mention. Where these would be handy is, you know, on the back of your radio. And I don't know, you know, how you grew up or anything, but like, I think I had to take mine apart, my radios apart every 15 minutes when I was a kid, and things haven't changed. But these always end up getting augered out, the center connectors. And of course, on your radio, you don't want to have to replace the SO239. That's what the connector is on the back of the radio. So if you use something like this, plugged it in and let it alone, and then you always made your connections through here. If this wears out, just unplug it and throw another one on. You don't need to do that. Or if there's somewhere you're constantly taking apart on and off again, you can use things like this so that you don't have to keep taking your internal equipment apart. But okay, enough on my bandwagon. And they also say the loss from this is supposed to be less than I think it was less than 0.1 or 0.01 dB. So I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of loss. These should be pretty easy to make. And I would imagine that they would all perform the same unless there was something wrong in the craftsmanship of it. And in that case, it wouldn't really be a valid test. It would just be something in how it was made. Wouldn't mean they're all bad. All right, well, I hope that was helpful, and sorry about all the camera jiggling. Next time I do it, I'll have to make sure I get a stand or something. But thanks for watching, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up or whatever else you can do. Take care.